Now, as you know, the industrial relations reform legislation, there's one more week officially of Parliament, but Senate could be extended for a few days to eventually find a way to negotiate through the Parliament to win the support of the crossbench. Now, Corey, you know how this works. The good thing is, and Nick Xenophon titles all this, be the last crossbencher standing with the loudest voice and you'll get the most that you want. Make sure that you argue right up until 11:59:59. So what's your bet on where Lambie lands and Pocock as well?
Well, look, I don't think Lambie is actually important. I think my understanding is, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Stephen.
They only need Pocock.
Paul, but if they only need Pocock, yeah, because if the Greens are going to come on board and they'll get their price of silver, whatever it is, a couple of pieces, but Pocock, I think will capitulate in the end, and he'll get some new green scheme for the ACT, and that'll be done. They might throw a goodwill gesture into Jackie Lambie for future negotiations, but in the end, Labor will do a deal. They generally always do. And they'll get what they want. And this is part of the reason I think a healthy crossbench, or a crossbench that's bigger than just one, essentially, is healthier for the Parliament.
But also, let's be honest here too, is that the Teals have already showed their hand. Yes, there have been a couple that voted against it, but put your masks on, she voted for it, so at least all you need is one vote. And if put your masks on voted for it, well then I reckon the same's going to happen when it comes to Pocock. But as the great Senate negotiator that is amongst us, what's your sense about Pocock? Because I think he's gone kind of quiet. They'll get it another couple of days. They'll make it look like they grounded something out. But Pocock's going to back this.
Well, I think at the moment, both him and Lambie, and I'm not as dismissive of Jackie as Corey was, I think if either of those can reach an accommodation with the government, it will pass the Senate. So I don't write Jackie Lambie off. She's proving to be an outstanding senator in her wiliness and her political cunning over the last few years. I mean, she has proven everybody wrong.
There's a bit more butter on the Lambie toast there, I think.
Yeah. Well, I'm not in charge of any negotiations, so it doesn't matter how much I want to butter up the toast.
You're just here to help.
I'm always here to help, Paul, you know that. So, look, in the end, do I think this bill will pass? Yes. Do I think the bill should pass? Yes, because we know that Australians have been having falling real wages for the last 11 years. And so the industrial relations system has been weighted too much on the employer side. And these quite modest, notwithstanding the hysterics you're hearing from some in the business community, quite modest changes will hopefully actually lead to some pay rises. So when, Paul, you next time say, where's the wage rises coming from? Well, firstly, as we've said, the Fair Work case, but more importantly, by allowing unions to have a decent balance in negotiation with the employers going forward after this legislation's passed. So I hope this is passed. I believe ultimately it will pass. So it'll be a long night in the Senate, and Corey and I have done a few of those over the years.
Well, in fairness, actually, I want to get some stories about that one of these nights. In fairness, though, wages have been rising 3.5%, 3.2%, actually, I think, in the last register.
That's real wages falling, Paul.
Because
that's real
inflation
wages
is
falling. Nominal rise,
because
nominal wage rises at 40%. Let's be clear, 40% of that rise came because of the Fair Work Commission to the poorest workers in this country.
Yeah.
So
if inflation's
you've got a situation where the Reserve Bank clowns are now saying because the Fair Work case increased wages, in that wage increase 40% to the poorest, they've got to put a interest rate increase up on the poorest Australians because the Fair Work case. So the Reserve Bank are a bunch of clowns.
Oh, there you go, doubling down. So obviously that job's not coming, but Washington's still open. Washington's still open.